We on? Is this going? I'll figure this thing out. I'll get this thing going right. There we go. Figure that out. One of these days. One of these days. Hello. Hello. Let's go ahead and get started here. All right. Ooh. Okay. Hello, Ricky. Why? Oh yeah, you gotta mute yourself, sis. I guess it's because, yeah, you're in. Alright, well, this is cool. Okay. And hopefully that's going to come through. We're testing out. First time doing this. Alright, welcome. So, what are we here doing? That's a good question. You're behind the scenes of recording my discussions on the entire text of A Course in Miracles. So, we're on Clubhouse, and we're on YouTube, and I'm low on power, and that's what that click thing is. I need to unplug that. Not a good room to have a little mini fridge in. Takes too much power. So, yeah, you're behind the scenes, and we're going to be discussing this. We're going to listen to it. I don't know exactly how it's going to happen quite yet, but then we'll have discussions after the fact. So I'll be recording and reading or listening and whatever it might be, that we will be doing the text together, going through the entire text. We're starting off from the beginning, and today is actually only going to be on the introduction and essentially our introduction about this. So, as I say, you're behind the scenes. What I'm talking about is the actual recording. So, the actual recording, if you're in audio format, you won't be seeing the beginning. For you in Clubhouse, you won't see the beginning of it, and so a lot of things are happening at the same time. So you can watch it on YouTube. Don't ask me what the channel name is right now. I don't know. But and just here preparing the way and making sure that this is possible. And if you have any questions, ideas, please write them down. My interpretation tends to be a little different throughout this. And I'm going to talk about this again in just a minute. But especially if you're on Clubhouse, please feel free to write those down those questions and bring them up after the fact. As again, I don't know exactly how this is going to be unfolding, and we're going to find out as we are here together. So it's a unique thing because of what I'm doing is providing essentially this completely no obligation free version of going through the text together, which I'm using for my teacher certification program of going through A Course in Miracles entirely. And I want to make sure and use this contents of A Course in Miracles properly and give it justice as much as possible, of just simply coming off my interpretation that tends to be unique in an unusual way of trying to look at even A Course in Miracles a little differently. So please recognize that there's going to be a little bit of a difference sometimes, and we'll see and hopefully come across and make that make sense, bring it to a clear perspective. And again, if you don't have clarity, or you feel like there's some sort of confusion about what I'm saying and what the Course seems to be saying, let's please write those things down, and we can use them in the second portion where we can discuss in this behind the scenes area and on Clubhouse, that we can talk about it and dissect it and everything and actually make sense out of it, try to apply it to our understanding. So of course, until then, it's going to be me up here, right? And just recognize that position in which I take, and let's see what happens. Let's see what is going on. let's go ahead and get started on this. Welcome to A Course in Miracles. Have you heard of it? Let's go ahead and talk about it, and hopefully by this point you might have an idea. It makes no difference for every degree and every level. Hopefully we can talk and reach out, respond to what you want to know about what A Course in Miracles has to say about who you are. Welcome to our journey through the text of A Course in Miracles. It can be somewhat cumbersome and a big project, seemingly, for each and every one of us, as we might take it on and look at this book and they're like, holy crap, this is bigger than the Bible. And we just want to, of course, just the text in A Course in Miracles is specific to the first part. And then there's the workbook and the manual for teachers. Now, what is A Course in Miracles and where did it come from is a very interesting thing. That back in the early 70s, which this was published first in 1975, and where it came from was from a woman, I'm not giving too much details, but a woman by the name of Helen Schucman. And in her process as a psychotherapist, and of course in working with Bill Thetford, they had problems in their office, and they asked the question, they had a desire and wanted to understand a little bit more about that there's got to be a better way than just simply, having our difficulties and our problems. And so straight to the point, she started to receive direct revelation information that said, this is A Course in Miracles, please take notes. From that, she started writing in very shorthand and somewhat code all that came to follow of A Course in Miracles and a few other works. So as it started out, there's in this development of what this is all about, making it happen to discover essentially what is the way of thinking that could be different, that could help you to, and it helps everyone, help them specifically to see it differently, to find peace in that situation, to learn how to discover a peaceful way of living, that there might be a better way. And we found that it's very applicable to everyone throughout this whole process. And so it speaks in psychological terminology because of Helen Schucman's mind and understanding of psychology and the use of that. And she even claimed to be an atheist. However, she did have ideas and understanding of what a God is and what the Christian terminology, which she was around very much so, and the ideas of that. And so it uses Christian terminology and masculine pronouns, which was all kind of a structure, a setup for it to make it have consistency throughout the text of this whole experience, and it reveals itself through that psychological format, even speaking in a rhythmic pentameter, and this idea that it kind of unfolds in such a beautiful fashion that appropriately tries to help you to see life and every situation differently. Now, I'm going to be here interpreting this in my own unique way and helping you to understand it. I'm not concerned with essentially where you're coming from, even though I hope to give multiple interpretations, as I can't cater to everyone. I'm specifically going to be working essentially with what I refer to as a miracle, and learning and practicing coming to you from that acute awareness of what a miracle is and what Christ is, what God is. So one thing about using masculine pronouns, especially if this is your first time, there tends to be this difficulty with it. That it says he, it says it's God and Christ and his, and using these kind of terms, referring to God and Christ as a male figure, which is very Christian and kind of masculine in that way. So don't insist that this actually means that their bodies. We're going to be going on this journey that what we have, the ideas of them being persons and having genitalia to be able to tell if they are male or female or any variation, has nothing to do with it. And we do want to keep breaking away with this. That I've been through on my travels through multiple different variations of course groups, that some even deliberately take the transformation, putting she and her in the place of those. And I just want to make sure that we don't concern ourselves necessarily with the genitalia factor that has nothing to do with it. That in fact, this is talking about an alternate dimension of reality where bodies is not even a concept and essentially deemed as illusionary. So of course we will be getting more into that, and I just want to make sure that we recognize and take that position in that this is talking about something out of this world, out of time and space. So right now, as we're going to get into the introduction of A Course in Miracles, this is something actually Ken Wapnick came in helping Bill and Helen on this journey, and started in taking editing involved, and he developed the introduction, and it's very helpful, very beautiful. It summarizes essentially what the text is all about, and it can be used to essentially point out like what is going on, and you can interpret all the text by using this context as a guide in the interpretation, finding out, am I on the right track with understanding what A Course in Miracles is about? Is Devin just talking insanely over here, or is he actually making sense? Now, of course, throughout life, and as we have been in this world, we're trying to figure it out, we're trying to understand, and then now trying to figure out spirituality and understand, what is God about? How does God allow this to happen and yet be this all-powerful creator of that it is? It's like, it gets, we try and combine dimensions of experience and try to make sense out of their paradoxical nature. And we want to remember that this is not actually about making the world into heaven, but recognizing that heaven is what we've made and distorted into the world. So every time we talk about God and talk about Christ, we keep distorting it into physical representation. And all throughout A Course in Miracles, we're trying to understand, trying to figure out, what is this saying? What is this saying? And really, what we can't understand it because we've distorted it and changed it into physical representation. This is something that I refer to as the knowledge of good and evil. It is our obsession in our minds that makes it seem as if we're separate, seems as if we're apart from each other, and seems as if something else is occurring other than the reality of what love is. So, of course, let's go ahead and read this. The introduction. This is A Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The Course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. This Course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way. Nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. So if that's the first time you're hearing that, it's a remarkable thing, and there's a lot there that we can dissect and really look at what it is, and understanding how this Course is starting to reveal itself. And this, being a Course in Miracles, is a required course, is something that brings up a lot of controversial ideas, especially when people have a resistance to Christian terminology, saying, "Ooh, God this, God that. Oh, it looks like I'm back into commandments, and I have to do this right or this wrong, and then look, I've been going down this road that God doesn't approve of, and I'm all this stuff going through our heads, and now you're telling me I have to do this book?" And that's a misunderstanding again, because A Course in Miracles is better described as your life. Your life, regardless of how long or short it might be, eternal or just finite, makes no difference. What you are doing in your journey of life is this Course in miraculousness. So you're on this Course, and it's required that you live it, required that you do it to whatever degree of success that you are on. And so if you think of it in that way, that it's not the book that's required, it's a little more helpful to understand, because the Course and all it's here for, this Course in Miracles book, is to assist on your journey that is required. So recognize it in that fashion, that there is and are various other curriculums and spirituality, and that to insist that this is referring to this, hey, don't do yoga because this is the only required version here, that's not what it's saying. It's saying essentially your life and who you are is on a course in miraculousness, and you are going to be discovering that throughout your physical journey. And as we get into the principles of miracle next, one of those, a few of those, but one of them specifically is about the sense that miracles are going to be unnecessary, and that they are not really needed when you actually recognize what a miracle is. So it gets a little out of this world in understanding, because even like this idea of forgiveness, that to discover who you really are is only, forgiveness is only necessary to get to that point, and then after the fact of it, it's no longer seen as something that's necessary. So while you believe yourself as limited, this tiny perspective, small thing, that miracles are impossible for you, you're on a course of recognizing that you are limitless and miracles are natural. Okay, so that's something about it, is that regardless of where you're at in life or your lives, regardless, it is the discovery of recognizing that you are limitless, you are free, you are abundant, and all of these wonderful things, essentially anything you want to hear. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means that you can only elect what to take at a given time. Now this is, look at your life, that really you have these circumstances and scenarios that come up, and maybe something, it's very easy to see in relationships that you might be dealing with and dating, let's say, the same type of person over and over and over again. Why do I always date assholes is a common thing. This is the revealing of a lesson that you have yet to learn. A very simple description of it. Revealing of that, so sort of a lesson idea there somewhere that you have yet to learn, and it will come up and come up again and again and again until you finally accept the responsibility of learning that lesson there. And so life is this whole way, and even if you see it as being lived several lifetimes, that essentially if you're living lifetimes, there's something in life that you have yet to recognize and heal in order to discover the ascension of this physical reality. So it's a pretty interesting thing when you take it in that fashion, recognizing that why am I always getting upset at this, or why are these cars cutting me off, and why do I always have to face and work with all these douchebags out there? Because I have yet to learn the lesson that the curriculum, as we reference to, is actually these experiences of life. So these experiences of life, and what we're doing is the curriculum, and then we're using it, the context. If we use it properly, it leads us to our awakening, our divine realization. And if we don't use it properly, it leads to likely to beating something up and throwing rocks and cutting back off the guy that just cut you up. You know what I'm saying? And that it comes more into conflict and drama. So the Course in Miracles, in the generality of what you're existing here for, what you're seeing as, is getting through this recognition that you have no need for drama, you have no need for discomfort, pain, suffering, peace, unless you want that. But then there's, of course, you're putting off those lessons to learn that you are limitless, that you are free, you are eternal, you are abundant, and that you are boundless and nothing can hold you back. Now, of course, there's all these layers and degrees of processing, understanding that, because if you think nothing can stop you has something to do with beating up people along the way, then there's still more to learn. So, okay, let's go ahead. The Course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. So remember, the Course is not just this book, it is your life or lives. I have to keep adding that in regardless. The idea here is that you're learning how to remove these blocks to the awareness of what love is. And when we get into the idea of love is actually what you are, and so to comprehend what you are, we try to understand definitions of ourselves, and which we're going to get into, of course, a lot more as we continue on. But in the sense of it can't be taught because it is something lived. It is something what you are beyond time and space, beyond the confines of a body and shape and form. And that it is, there's so much there, more there than we can even comprehend. It is undefinable. And so the aim, however, is removing the blocks to the awareness of this presence. And essentially, if you have no blocks to it, no distortions of it, then you'll recognize the reality of what it is, naturally there, as if there is nothing else. And so it's the knowledge of it comes naturally. It reveals itself in what you are, and that being one with God as Christ is the total knowledge of all existence of all the universe, and all variations of universes and timelines and so on. So everything is contained within this, as it's been referred to as Akashic records. The experience of the total knowledge knows everything. And this is really what you are and who you actually are. But while it seems as if you're something else, we can see that there are indeed blocks to the awareness of the totality of all knowledge of all existence, regardless if we see it as knowledge or a sensation of love. In that experience, if you're having a hardship and suffering and pain and whatever it is, and drama between others, we use that curriculum of that drama to teach us that we have this block that I can discover beyond, I can realize beyond if I use it properly, and then I can discover that sensation or knowledge or any sort of experience beyond it to realize what I truly am. So that's what's so beautiful about this course, is that to go on this journey is a whole nother ball game than just to actually read it, and which it's required, so you're on that right track. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. Now remember, we're going to be coming back to this quite often because we can use this as a catalyst to essentially guide our understanding of A Course in Miracles because it puts it in such a simple fashion. And of course, miracles sometimes gets a little cumbersome, is a little difficult out there to understand, a little far, kind of crazy talk. So to understand it in a little bit of a more relatable sense, opposed to being abstract as it is, the opposite of love is fear, is something we can understand, right? We might insist that, of course, there's more opposites. I remember the first time, of course, the opposite of love was hate, right? And we actually have these ideas of like being hatred, being mean, being whatever, being something. And that hate actually is a derivative of fear, that you would only hate somebody because you fear something you see in them. And as much as it's really something you see in yourself, we'll be getting more into, of course, but in that sense of you think you hate someone, but you don't really hate them. You're more fearing what you see or what they reveal in you, or even the situation involving them reveals in you. And what is that? Your curriculum. That when you're ready to start learning, when you're ready to take that and use it properly, then you can actually go in the direction of revealing love's presence. So where would you reveal love's presence? In that specific situation, right in that moment. You can use it and recognize, oh, I'm scared of this. I think, okay, we can start. I think I hate this guy. I think I want to throw him off a cliff and maybe beat his face in beforehand, right? We have that. I hate this guy. And really what it is, oh, wait, if I want to be honest, I don't like that they're showing me that I'm weak. Let's just use that as an example. There's so many different variations. Of course, it's personal to your perspective. They're showing me that I'm weak. And so I think I hate them, but they're showing me that I'm weak, and I'm afraid of being weak. I'm afraid of being weak. And so it keeps coming closer back to home. And then if I accept that the responsibility that I have the lesson to learn here, and I need to question these factors, which are very personal to your perspective again, that I'm afraid I'm weak, and I get past that. If I can discover past that, I would reveal what love's presence is. And that's not just the sensation with it is. You actually have these transformations occur where you can, what feels like that tension inside becomes this wonderful, loving, compassionate, a beautiful thing in that recognition of it. But also what love is that you are, I also would contest, is limitless, is boundless, is free, is at peace, is beyond understanding. And so this, to say in this Christian terminology, that Jesus was an example of, or is, the representation of this certainty of knowing what this love is, knowing this reality of what you really actually are, and that it cannot be distorted, it cannot be threatened in any sort of sense unless you have denied your reality. So if you're denying your reality, which is natural here, right? We all got a habit of denying our reality as that. The experience of becoming and coming back into that, this training, this course in miracleness, is revealing that we cannot be threatened in what we actually are. So that's why we sum up the course here, that nothing real can be threatened and nothing unreal exists. Now, of course, we all throughout this process, what is unreal? What is real? And we can even assess it in that fashion. Well, does this thing break? Does this thing fall apart? Does this thing die? Well, it must not be real. And so as much as what that is in the sense of being real or not, is the reality of pointing at what you are, is the creator aspect of all unreal things. And what you are is continuous and cannot be broken, and is an eternal, everlasting, all-powerful being. And what it seems that you are some things that you've made, the ideas of a body, of separation, of concepts of personality, and variations of all different things that have a beginning and an end, have a start time and an end time and a variation. You can come into this situation and then come out of it. You have these ideas of love beginning and love ending. We fell in love and then we fell out of love. And while all these things have real context in the reality of the bodies, the physical world, what this course is attempting to find and show you, to reveal in you, is that eternal nature of the reality of what you actually are, and not so much trying to get you to change the world or make sure this body lasts forever and so on, or whatever it might be. So if you're ready, then you'll start to discover that herein, A Course in Miracles, herein lies the peace of God. Now that's in the process of taking responsibility with these lessons and revealing and discovering what love is. And there, in the reality of what love is, lies the peace of God. So as we can tell and focus so much on the introduction, this is going to be a very long course. And thank you for joining with me. And I am absolutely happy that you are taking the time to embark on this journey of going through A Course in Miracles with me. Have a beautiful, miraculous day. All right, you're behind the scenes, and that was specifically a recording for the structure of going through the text. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. Wow, going to be able to break it down. So now I'm here on Clubhouse and on YouTube. So understand, anybody joining me on Clubhouse, if you want to join the stage, if you have any questions or thoughts, ideas that you want to share, please feel free to raise your hand and we can get into that. Otherwise, I will bring this to a close. So, any thoughts, ideas? And I'll try to accept that this is behind the scenes of the recording of this course, this teacher's certification course. I love coming back to Devon. I'm like, what am I talking about here? So hopefully you enjoyed yourself. I did myself, and that there's always so much information we can take and change and transform and make into anything we want. So it's beautiful to see it happen and to take the journey and to be a part of it. Well, I see no hands. No hands required. Hello, Jesse. Welcome. Sending the invite there. Thank you all for being here. Hopefully that went through, Jesse. Yeah, I'm excited to be doing this on the course here, or on Clubhouse. It's interesting to take it in this new direction and opening it up here. And I just thought maybe I won't be able to hear you. I just realized that. I don't know if I have this set up properly. Might need to investigate on that. So Jesse, I did send you the invite. Maybe I should send everybody the invite. You guys want it? If you have anything to say, please feel free. I'm clicking away here. Nothing required to join, but you can see when we actually get started on this, it's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be breaking it down the sections and going by paragraph. And so there'll be more. We're just starting out with the introduction today, and then tomorrow, and I believe every weekday at this time for me, 11 o'clock, I'm going to be holding this space and getting into the text. Hello, Kevin. There you go. I hear you now. You have any thoughts? Sure, sounds good. So as far as A Course in Miracles in general, or this specific room here? Right. Awesome. Well, it's good to have you, and yeah, it's going to be a long journey here. So we'll be here. It's 11 p.m. or a.m. Sorry, for me here in Mountain Time, and so that's 10 Western California Pacific. What do we call it? Yeah, and 2 o'clock? No, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. We'll be bringing the space. Love to see you come back and find it out. Jesse, I'm sending you the invite on stage. I don't see. Maybe you need to go out and come back in. I see your hand raised, and some reason it's not letting me. So, or the acceptance of it, maybe. Very odd. And hello, Fionn. I wanted to ask you if do you draw your pictures that you use? Do you draw those? You did? Yeah, they're lovely. I see them change. They're beautiful. Hello, Jesse. It worked. Well, thank you. That's good. I did actually start a new channel for this Course in Miracles. So there is a new one, and that I'm actually live at still right now. So if you didn't see me live there, which, yes, that's good stuff, old stuff as well, and a bunch of my podcasts go on there, and different variations of things. It is good. But I just started a new channel doing the lessons as well as this discussion. No problem. Well, here. Well, let me pin a link here. And I think this is specifically to the live page going on right now, live. So you can see all the gloriness. It's the same, going by the same name as here as Clubhouse right now, and yeah, those things might change as we're just starting out processing this and figuring out details. That's what I'm in charge of, and then we just let Christ speak and making it all happen and work out. So it's exciting. Assuming that link works, maybe you can let me know. You should be able to see me here. Doing a dance right now. It's a little delayed too. Okay. Yeah, so hit subscribe and you should get notified or something like that. Something you're supposed to say on YouTube. Everybody says it, right? Like and subscribe. I got a recording of my son, and he's so cute, and saying, like and subscribe. All right, so beautiful. Anybody have any thoughts, ideas, questions? Or else I will be coming back to this room, and of course the morning discussion that we have tomorrow. Join this club, the A Course in Miracles Club, if you're not a part of it. And there's a beautiful discussion with Matthew and Amy and Catherine in the morning, and then I'll be leading into this at 11, like I said. So, all right. Have a beautiful day, everyone. As I'm still alive, aren't I? I'm still here.